And, one other thing, this is kind of off topic, but I got an email from a listener the other day who was taking issue with something that we said when I quoted this famous Franciscan phrase about preach the gospel wherever you go and use words when necessary. And the writer had pointed out that we don't have documentary evidence of St. Francis having said exactly that. So I wanted to speak to that for a second and qualify it a little bit.
Sure.
There's a story from the early documents of St. Francis about a Dominican theologian who approached St. Francis, because he was troubled about this passage in Ezekiel where the Lord says to Ezekiel, you're a watchman, I've set you as a watchman of the house of Israel, and I hold you responsible. If you see your brother, stumble or is in sin and you don't rebuke him, then I'll hold you responsible for that sin. And this theologian went to St. Francis and said, does that mean that I have an obligation to go correct everybody that I know is in mortal sin? And what St. Francis answered him was, well, the way I understand that is that if we live our lives in such a way that we are a living rebuke to a life of immorality or dissipation, that will effectively fulfill that command. So, in other words, there is a story associated with the life of St. Francis that captures the spirit of that quote, even if the very quote itself cannot be attributed to him.